work so you can play.
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Owen here, once again talking about Tau tactics. This time I'm going to be going over the Crisis Suit and what it means to the Tau army. And when I say going over the Crisis Suit, I really mean talking about how it'll just hide or support whoever it is it's fighting with. But a lot of people like to use them as the main backbone, the main point of their army. I'm going to explain why that is a good and bad idea. Crisis Suits are a Swiss Army knife in 40k. A lot of games, or a lot of units in Warhammer have a single purpose. They're like a very heavy support unit, they have a lot of heavy weapons, or they have a lot of light weapons, or they're melee, something like that. Battle suits don't fall into this category because they can do any job. They're of course a shooting unit. Aside from all the other things, their primary role is to shoot, and they will do that very well. The only thing that stands between them and being an actual, or when I say actual, I mean a very good unit, is the low ballistic skill. Starting at a base ballistic skill of only 3, they're hitting on 4s, and when it's 50-50 for all of the shots, and you have these insane amount of firepower that comes off of these guys, it's not that big a loss. If you really felt the need, you could invest and give them target lock, which would give them the +1 ballistic skill, which they sorely need, or give them marker drones, which are incredibly expensive for what they do, and have them boost their own ballistic skill based on whether or not the marker drone hits. That's one option to try and make their shooting more accurate. Personally, you don't need it, because when you bring Pathfinders, which you will, they will make up for that. Now, about the equipment that they can carry, you've got a lot of options here, which most of them are displayed right here. From the left, you've got your plasmas, then your missile pods, then you've got the fragmentating air burster, then you've got more missile pods, then you've got the cyclonic ion blaster, and then you've got meltaguns, or fusion guns is what they're called. Anyway, you've got your meltagun and your flamethrower. Now, that is a wide array of different kind of guns that these guys can use. Starting from the plasma, which is of course anti-heavy infantry, and then you've got your missile pods that are destroyers of light vehicles. You've got your air bursting fragmentator, which will just destroy swarms of units. And then you've got your cyclonic ion blaster, which has lots of shots, low strength, but it has rending. So that one, it's kind of falls into its own category because only the character, the unit commander could carry it, and you're only allowed 1 in the army. So it's hit and miss, but for the most part, it's pretty solid as well. It's kind of expensive though, so I don't use it very often. Then you've got your meltagun, or a fusion blaster, which is basically a meltagun, which it's a meltagun. You will kill tanks. You will kill tanks all day long. And you've got flamethrowers, which I've started using them again now that I've started playing against more Tyranids and Orcs. And with the new rules for standing and shooting, flamethrowers are definitely a good thing to have in your unit. Now, what about all these guns? You have all these guns. What are their uses? When are you going to use them? Should you focus on them? Or should you focus on numbers of these guys? Because they have such a large array of weapons that people tend to depend on them more than they should. You have the option here to give them equipment that can destroy any kind of unit you come across, whether it's tanks, infantry, heavy infantry, long-range units, whatever it may be, even close combat. You can flamethrower them and kill them all. The mistake that people make is they tend to invest far too many points in these guys, because that is the backside to these battle suits. They're crazy expensive. You're paying more than a Terminator in most cases, when you include like the multi-tracker, the target lock, the weapon, the other weapon, if you brought a targeting array, if you upgraded them to commander, if you made them this, if you made them that, if you attach this. They get really, really expensive. So unless you're playing a really large-scale game, you're not going to have very many of these guys in your army. You're going to bring them for 1 or 2 purposes, depending on how you're bringing your army. If you're going very heavy, if you have lots of tanks, if you have lots of railguns and broadsides, if you decide to bring them, you're going to want them to be anti-infantry. You're going to have your flamethrower, you're going to have your meltagun, or you're going to have your flamethrower, your plasma gun, your cyclonic ion blaster, burst cannon. They're all good. All of those weapons are good for crushing infantry. The thing is though, like I said, they're very expensive, so you're not going to have very many of these, and they're not that tough. They're just a Space Marine with 2 wounds. If it ever comes down to it, if you ever think that you have a good elite choice here, you're a Space Marine. You have a different gun, but you're a Space Marine. So keep that in mind, because they'll crush Space Marines, but they'll get crushed like Space Marines. So when they go out to fight, you either sacrifice them, deep strike them, and just waste this unit, or hide them behind your lines of fire warriors and have them jump forward, jump backward, jump forward. Those are the two ways you're going to use these guys. There's other possible tactics. I mean, they could be their own flanking unit and come around the side of their army, stay back and be a really missile pod range support. Not what I do. I stand behind my fire warriors and jump out, jump back, jump out, jump back. But once again, these are all tactics that depend on who you're fighting. So let's get a few examples of that. With another target priority scenario. In this case, you've got your battlesuit team lined up against a looted wagon, a death dread, and a group of boys. Now, in all likelihood, this battlesuit team is going to die. You know that's going to happen. So now you have to think about the rest of your army. What can these battlesuits take out that the rest of your force can't handle? Because when it comes down to it, despite the new target lock rules, or when I say new, I mean they brought back the target lock rules. So each of these guys, if you pay for it, which you probably should, will be able to shoot a different unit than the rest of a different target other than the rest of his unit. This is, once again, really hard to say on a small scale. You really have to know what the rest of your army is. If you had the heavy fire warrior list, you have to shoot the tank and or the death dread. If you have a very large elite list, if you have more battle suits, if you have tanks, stuff like that, you're going to want to clean out those orcs. If you have, or rather, when I say elite, I also mean like heavy. Like if you have broadsides, you're going to want to kill those little orc boys there. So that's the decision that you're going to have to make. So let's say why. Why would you kill the orc boys as opposed to the death dread? Or between the three of these, which one has the most merit to kill? A looted wagon, large blast, strength 8, AP 3. So if that hits any of your battle suits, they're gone. Instant death, no save, disappeared. That's very, very scary for those battle wagon, or for the battle suits. Death dread, not that very good at shooting. Very good in close combat, lots of attacks. Strength 10, no save, instant death. Also very bad, but a lot easier to avoid because of your jump shoot jump rule. You can move potentially 18 inches and fire all your guns. Not nearly as big a threat as the tank is, but still a threat in itself, because if not stopped by these battle suits, it's going to run wreck into your army, and once it's up close, it's going to be either in combat or killing things all the time. Definitely a major threat there. Then you've got the boys. They're just a big herd of boys, lots of wounds, crazy number of attacks, and a poor save. Threatening two battle suits as well as tanks because of their sheer numbers, as well as infantry, really. The orc boy is a solid unit. But he does have only one goal, really, because he can't take everything. It's up to the knobs with the power claws to fight your tanks. And against battle suits without their knobs, they're just depending on lots of rolls. So, not as big a threat against your elites, your tanks, and your battle suits, but against your fire warriors, they are definitely going to get them killed. So these guys are a big problem if you have a lot of infantry left. So who do you shoot, and why? Personally, most cases, I would be shooting the tank. Simply because that's the most likely thing to kill these battle suits. They're going to fire at that tank, they're going to get a few hits, hopefully they're going to destroy it or wreck it at least. Then they're going to jump, shoot, jump further away from the Death Dread and the boys, who both depend on close combat. The tank does not. If this was near the end of the game, if these were the last few units left, I would definitely aim for the Orc boys. They're a scoring unit. They need to get destroyed in order to deny him the ability to capture more objectives. Also, if this was near to the end of the game, I may aim for the Death Dread, because we're definitely going to be close to each other if it's near the end of the game. And for that reason, that one needs to go away. Now, battle suits, like your battlesuit commander, don't stand very good of a chance in close combat and against very anti-armor units. Also, like the battlesuit commander, the main two jobs you're going to do with these guys is either to deep strike or to support. You're going to be keeping them behind your fire warriors, and they're going to be jumping out and then jump shooting back. That's all they're going to do. They're going to kill anything that's coming towards your army that the fire warrior's strength 5 guns can't kill. So when you see a giant wave of orcs coming at you, you jump your commander up and he shoots the commander. You jump the battlesuit team up, they shoot at the Death Dread, or they shoot at the boys, or the bikes, or they shoot at the tank, or they shoot at the Death Copters. Def maybe not. But that's what they're there for. They're just there to shoot at anything that massed firepower from fire warriors can't take down. And really, it could be anything. It varies depending on the army. You could have jet bikes flying through, you could have land speeders, you could have aircraft, you could have land raiders. Any of these things are things that your fire warriors can't deal with, and for whatever reason your railguns failed. Because that's the other thing. Order matters a lot as well. When you're going to destroy something, shoot the most likely gun first. I'm getting off topic again. These are general tactics. And that's a hard part about these videos. And leave a comment below what you think about this. Which would you prefer to see? Would you rather see these on a unit by unit basis, where I talk about the capabilities of these units and individual situations where they might be used? Or do you want to see something more of a general army side, like a who to shoot first, what to bring with what, more of a list building thing? Because I'm going to build a list episode, essentially, of TAO. So which would you prefer? Would you like to see more units and their specific outfit and what I think of them? Or more of a who shoots first, who doesn't kind of video? Anyway, leave your comments below, but this is the summary of my idea of battle suits. Know your target, shoot what is beneficial to your army, not that unit itself, and don't waste points on too many of these guys, because they are just support. They aren't going to win you the game. They'll definitely help, but they're not the winner. Remember, if you want to see about getting any TAO stuff for yourself, right below, there's going to be a link there. Get you over to our store. And remember, go to MiniWarGaming.com/challenge to challenge myself or another mini wargamer. Happy wargaming.